Hello and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm feeling like we're not in Kansas anymore. Hi, I'm Trey, and I'm joined by my co-host Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi, I am a teeny tiny miniature today.
How teeny tiny miniature on a relative scale?
I just want to fit into Nick Busch's Verona.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I like that.
I just want to live in that town, and I want to live in that castle, or sit
Is
on
it?
that little iron throne.
The one with all the swords?
Yeah,
Yes. Well, speaking of our fantastic guest and his amazing artwork, Emily, would you please introduce our guest this evening?
I would. Today we are speaking with miniature photographer Nick Busch, who has created alternate realities with miniature work and photography and has made them real in a way that's so cool. So anyway, thank you and welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Emily and Trey. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this since you guys asked me to do this. I was in your magazine about was that 2 years? Has it been 2 years, Emily? How long has it been?
Just about 2 years, yeah.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact,
wild.
I feel like I saw it in my memories or something.
Yeah,
So
I did
maybe
the other day or a week
yeah.
or two ago. Yeah. And when you guys asked me to do this, really looking forward to it. Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. So I can't wait to get into everything you guys want to get into.
I'm glad you get to tell your story and your journey in a way that's not through a writer's lens, but through your own words. So that's nice too.
Yeah. I guess where do we want to start? Like with a project, or where do you guys want to bounce this off of?
I
Well,
really kind of want to know, honestly, more about like how you got into photography. Like, what is your origin story?
Well, photography was with I did videography for weddings for many many years professionally. Then I had a camera with me, so I would take a picture of the bride and the groom to use as our like their cover album to like their DVD or something. Then as time went on, I kept doing more and more photos, and actually was enjoying the photo taking more than I was the videography. So then I found there's another miniature artist named Felix Hernandez that does work kind of similar to what I do. And I saw what he was doing, got inspired, and just kind of went from there. I just started doing projects and started taking pictures of my living room. And yeah, and the rest is history. Then I got all my projects one after another over the years, and just kind of built it from there.
That's awesome. Now, where at what point did the like miniature photography and like the creation of all of these incredible worlds that you're making, where did that come into play with the photography's journey?
Well, I saw a video of a guy on YouTube do of a he did like he took like a toy car, took some pictures of it, used like some flour, made it look like it was in snow. It looked very realistic, and I knew how to do some Photoshop composites. And I was like, well, if you can make that look real, can I take a picture of myself and composite myself in there and make it look real? So I tried it. I put a video on my YouTube channel on just as my name, Nick Busch, and that video actually somehow, which I don't know how this happened. I uploaded it a month later, it went viral in like 3 days. I got like 1 million views.
wow.
And I don't know how it happened. Just I looked at my thing. I was like, wait a minute, 10,000 views over a night. All of a sudden 20,000. Yeah, it just exploded. But I just showed like a 2-minute video of me doing it. I went to my studio, took a picture of myself, cut myself out, put it in the photo of the car in the snow, and it looked kind of real. And so I was like, well, all right, that's just me messing around. What happens if I actually put some real effort into this? And that's when I did the Dorothy the Wizard of Oz picture. That was my first one where I really put a lot of effort, and took me a couple weeks to make all the little stones, build the set. Then I asked one of my friends I went to high school with. Her daughter was about the right age. She was like 7 or something, and she got her grandma built her the costume. She came over, took a picture, and I was like, I had no idea if it was going to work. Cut Dorothy out in Photoshop, put her in the photo, and I was like, oh my god, this actually worked. And that's kind of how it happened.
So that was your first?
The
That was
Wizard
your
of Oz.
first?
Yeah. The one with me standing in front of a car in the snow, like it's dark. That was my official first one. But the Wizard of Oz was like my first real attempt at it, as far as effort. So.
Sorry, Emily, to like be hogging this, but like I am blown away. That is an incredible first picture.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite one too. It's just kind of all the stars aligned, because a lot of this time when I'm doing it, I never really know if it's going to work. I mean, we'll get into this later with my Game of Thrones stuff, but I tried a bunch of different stuff with it, or I can just get into it now. My most recent project, my Game of Thrones, when I built the room, my family, me, my kids, we went crazy with costumes. We spent a bunch of money, and I tried to composite myself in the picture, and like I just could not get it to look right. So it does, like, all these projects don't necessarily, from the way I start it and the way it finishes, is not always the way I imagined it, because you have to kind of change things here and there to make it work. But that Wizard of Oz one, luckily, it did. It just happened to work. Everything kind of just fell into place. So
Well, I color me impressed because wow.
yeah, it's yeah. I would say it's like luck. I don't know. It's like it just as something I tried and it just happened to work. I don't know.
Well, the thing about the Game of Thrones one that I noticed, whether or not you felt it worked, your set was still awesome. And the one thing I noticed is when people make some of the little versions, I've seen little versions of the throne, whether it was like a tabletop, what do you call it, like a figurine kind of thing.
Well, a lot of people 3D print the
Okay, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And I look at those and I go, it's cute, but yours didn't look cute to me. It was like the throne.
Sure. Yeah.
So
you know what? You know how I made that was I took, those cocktail swords you put in drinks.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's like I used about like 300 or 400 of those things and just melted them with the little. I laser cut like a wooden chair out. Then I put those on top and melted it on top of it, and that's how we kind of got like that realistic look. Then I took like metallic paint, and just spray painted the thing metallic color, and that's how. Yeah, and it looked real. So I was like, sweet. And built the throne room. Like the throne room and the throne, I thought I was very happy with how it turned out. But just putting people in the room, I just for the life of me could not get it to work right. I mean, I tried probably for 2 months messing with Photoshop every night. And I just like, this is not working. So, but in the end, the room I thought did look pretty cool though.
Yeah.
That there is so much just to be said. Like even if people aren't necessarily in the shot, just the atmosphere and the recognition of the chair, like the atmosphere is perfect. So wow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. The lost my train of thought. The lighting of it wasn't too bad because I use a lot of soft lights and actually have like this fog stuff I spray, and it kind of gives it the atmospheric look to it. Kind of probably what you're thinking of. Kind of like just a slight haze in there, and it kind of makes it more dramatic looking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like there might be a dusty old castle.
Yeah, something. Yeah, just
yeah.
Well, they use that. They use like haze in like movies and stuff. Like if you ever see like in a shot where like the light beam is like through a room and you can really see the light coming through the window. There's a haze they put in the room to get it to look that way. And that's kind of the approach I took with a lot of these photos. You kind of spray it with this haze, like in a can thing. You spray it.
Yeah.
It's see like the light better.
It's like if I burn a pizza on a sunny day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it looks in the living room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I say that because I've done that before.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
I know when those cookies go up in flames. Yeah, right. Exactly.
I've never cooked a pizza with the cardboard still in the oven. Yeah, not me.
No.
Yeah, a pizza might not be accurate, but I use that.
Yeah, I think we've all been down that road before.
Right.
It's really interesting, like some of the effects that you can get. You've mentioned snow. You can use flour, or that like spray of haze kind of gets some different effects to it. What are some of the considerations that you have to think about, or what are some of the techniques that you've used besides those two examples to create some of the miniature features that you've done?
Yeah, obviously you use so you have to think of both. You have to think of the photography angle and you have to think of the miniature angle. When you're building miniatures, you have to kind of add the weathering in there. I use, for my bricks, I use molds that it's not plaster of Paris because that's kind of soft, but you put like a, what is it? Like a plaster, and it's a really hard plaster in these molds. So each brick comes out individually. So when I lay down the street, I have to lay each brick down one by one. Like you see my Romeo and Juliet set, the Fiona Street, and that probably took me about a month and a half to lay how many bricks are down there, like every night, doing it for about an hour. But I think it gives like a realistic look and texture to like the streets and the cobblestone and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you also have to, like, you have to weather the bricks too, to kind of give it that realistic look. Now as far as like photography, something called, I don't know if you're familiar with photo stacking, like you use for, it's where you take a bunch of pictures, the focal length changes, and you stack all the photos together to kind of give it that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. People do it like a lot of times, like if you see, like, let's say a picture of a diamond ring in a magazine, most of the time how they do is they take like maybe 4 or 5 pictures of that ring at different focal points and stack them together to give that ultra crisp look. And I do the same method to the miniatures to kind of give it that larger than life look. And, with the miniatures, you have to try to make them as realistic as possible. So like if I have wooden walls or wooden doors, I try to use wood. I don't try to really 3D print too much. You just try to use the same type of textures that are really there, and it kind of works out. Now the decision to do stuff during the night or day or during the sunset, some of that stuff can change. Like my Mary Poppins, that was going to be at night, but I couldn't get it to look right, so I did it during the sunset, and I thought, it turned out all right. You just have to keep playing with it until you kind of get it to look right. And sometimes day shots look good, most of the time it doesn't. But like night shots are pretty good. Usually sunset shots are usually the best. You can get them to kind of look right. You just get the shadows, real hard shadows in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but using people is always the tricky part when I add real people, when I take them to the photography studio, because the costumes are always a big problem, because a lot of people would get a hold of me, be like, hey, I want to do a project with you. And I'm like, well, how far do you want to go with this costume? Because like, if you like, let's say the Mary Poppins, let's take that for example, because that was where I got extremely lucky. The local theater here in Davenport, they just did a play of Mary Poppins. So I called them and they had the costume, and this girl got a hold of me. She was like, hey, can I do Mary Poppins? I said, sure. Let's come over and do a costume, to see if it fits. Fit her like a glove, and got super lucky. All this stuff kind of fell into place while I was doing it, the project, and so kind of went from there. So it's always, the costumes are a big deal, trying to get those right. Using for my miniatures, make sure all the textures are right, are a big deal. And the photography, to be honest, is probably the fastest thing. I can usually do that in a couple days, like about 2 days. I can have it figured out if everything goes right. The miniatures is the part that takes.
Sure.
That can take a while. That can take me a few months to build the sets. So.
Yeah, because you're building actual little buildings and streets and creating bricks and things like that. You mentioned with the costumes, and I have to say that is something that's relatable from my standpoint too, because I create costumes for a lot of things. I think we talked about that before. I don't remember. And so I have been contacted in the past by photographers who wanted to use my costumes in their shoots. And there are a few shoots that I showed up to where they were like, we got all these costumes at Party City, and we're going to use those and mix yours in with them. And usually that doesn't work out when you see mine, because mine, I build like real clothing. So like you're not going to, there's no polyester. We'll put it that way.
Sure,
it's not going to shine in the light the same way polyester does. It looks more real, and I do that on purpose because that's the kind of costuming I do. I want it to be realistic. These are clothes they used to wear, presumably. So I make it like clothes they used to wear. So if there are fabric, I make it as realistic as possible. So in like those types of photo shoots, that matters to me because, so like I can't put my doublet that I've made with leggings that are, shiny.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Shiny nylon or anything like that. So I get that, because you do need, you go to these great lengths to build this amazing, very ultra realistic set, and then you can't throw a Party City costume in there and expect that to look right.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't mesh, or it doesn't go. Yeah, you can tell there's something wrong going on. And that's like the, yeah, exactly. So I feel your pain. Like it's like, because when I did that when I did the around the world in 80 days, that that was a massive thing. I had to ask tons of people to do it. And that was what you were talking about was exactly the problem I was having. Some people came and like, I mean, God bless them. They came, they spent their time and money to come. But the problem is like, certain clothing doesn't look good in front of a camera. Like the materials and it's like the light doesn't come off it right. And it just doesn't look right. And, but yeah, so that was kind of the problem. I feel your pain. I'll say that. I feel your pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And for the rest of you out there, we can tell when you don't iron the costumes. We can tell. It's in the pictures. We can see those lines, the fold lines when you pulled it out of the package. Please, folks.
Give it a little iron. Yep. Yeah.
And for those that are making their own costumes, press your seams. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
This has been a PSA from the Modern Romantic.
Trey, have you tried building costumes before?
Yes. Actually, it's a little blurry, but like in this general vicinity behind me, I actually have a doublet that I'm working on for the Ren Fair. So yes, so I'm actually hand making my own pants, my doublet, my partner's doublet, which is right next to it.
Yeah.
All the shirts, his kilt at some point.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that I will not be making are these shoes because I don't cobble and no thank you.
Yet.
Yet.
Don't put that pressure on me.
You
no,
never
ma'am.
know.
You don't know me. You don't know me.
I don't know, man. Making your own shoe, that's got to be. It's hard enough making clothes. I got to imagine a shoe. That's next level right there.
We'll get James to do that. He was getting into that for a while. We just need friends in the right places.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the connections, ain't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So it is kind of interesting. Like as you, because we were just talking to a scrimshander yesterday who was talking about different materials, and now we're like talking with Nick here about these different materials that we've got going on. So I think it's something to be said for whenever you go to like work with something, you need to know a little bit about what you're about to get into. How does it work? How does it mold? How, if you're going to be making something like little stone things, if you're going to be curing something, how long does it take to cure? What can you do with it? What's the density like? So on and so forth. With regards to someone who might be trying to get into this now, what might be some considerations you might put before them before they just like dive in head first?
It's a good question. I would say, I mean, you have to have, it depends. If you're trying to get like, there's the miniature angle, there's the photography angle. Photography, you just have to kind of have a basic understanding of photography, how to work a camera, stuff like that. That comes with practice. Of course, over the years, people have showed me stuff like, they're doing. I'm like, yeah, just keep sticking with it. Problem is most people kind of give up after about 2 or 3 tries. But if you can't, it's just practice. Miniatures, I would say it's the same thing. And there's different things you can do. I started small. Like I went to the hobby store, bought some plastic. I built like this little swing, just with like a knife, some glue and some paint, and started from there. Then my next job was I built a little house. And it's just a lot of practice. And the thing is, there's actually on YouTube, there's, started small, very funny. Yeah, right, Archer. It was a little bit, but where was I going? Like on YouTube, there's like tons of different tutorials now about how to start with miniatures. Like a lot of like the guys that do like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, like their boards, like they show you how to build little houses. And I kind of just followed a couple of those. Then and just kind of went from there. But like I said, like the main difference I don't use a lot of foam. I use a lot of wood and bricks, and I don't know. It's just practice. Like when I go on Instagram, there's a lot of miniature artists. They'll kind of like they might do reels of how they're working on a specific thing, and I'd be like, oh, they'll kind of give you an idea of how to like maybe do a street or maybe how to do a sidewalk a little bit different. And it's just like most things in life, skills. It's just sticking with it and keep practicing. I'm sure with your guys is with your costumes, right? You had to start somewhere. I'm sure the first couple things you did probably kind of looked horrendous. Then, and a couple, a year or two later, you're like, all right, I see where this is going. And you just kind of, and you probably at to a point where you guys pretty comfortable with your costume making yet?
A little bit. I'm still kind of getting my foothold there.
Sure.
I am really thankful, and I mentioned this a couple times on previous episodes, but Emily was the first person around me that kind of helped make my costumes
Mm,
or help kind of guide me through costumes. So I got a little bit of like expert tips and tricks and advice.
yes.
Um, so that was really nice. So I can't say that it came out looking horrible because Emily would not have let me let it look horrible.
I would have
Um,
slapped it right out of your hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
no, that's not the right seam allowance. No.
yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
it's so it is really nice. It's nice to have things like YouTube to get
Sure.
familiar with certain things and can kind of give you some general guidance. But then there's also something to be said for having a physical teacher in front of you, kind of giving you tips and looking at something and giving you confirmation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
both are equally beneficial.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, and like I said with the YouTube, I mean, there's like a million miniature. There's like it goes to everything from like dollhouse people, the people that do like the dollhouse stuff, to down like I said, like the Dungeons and Dragons, they build their tabletop buildings and stuff. And there's a million tutorials on how to do that, and you just kind of like I just watched a bunch of them, and just kind of pick out stuff that you like and you don't like, and like I found there was like well actually where I learned most of my stuff for my techniques is from the guys that do those World War II dioramas, you know, like the little figurines, they make like the building, like these little dioramas. I watched a bunch of those guys, and because man, some of those guys, oh man, they are really good at miniature work. And yeah, you just kind of get ideas and kind of go from there. But you know, trying to do the both. What I kind of suggest, like some of my buddies just tried this stuff, and I'm like start with toy photography, because toy photography you can kind of learn the basics of photographing miniatures and how to use a camera at the same time. Then once you kind of get an idea of how to do like the techniques to make it look good, that's when you kind of can switch to, maybe if you kind of create some miniatures, you can switch to that.
I like that because that's how you started with the little cars and making
Exactly.
them look realistic, because they do such a good job with those cars creating them to look like they do. So
Exactly. Yeah, trying to learn like the angle, like you kind of learn the angles of what looks, because I mean you can't just like take a picture of a plastic car and it's not gonna look good. There's like certain angles with certain lighting to kind of give it that lifelike look, and that's kind of where, you know, you just do that a bunch and figure it out. Then yeah, kind of go from there.
right.
So, but you guys mentioned you had questions about my Iceland pictures.
Oh well, I had talked. I had shown them.
Oh, I didn't know if you had questions or you were just mentioning it to me.
Oh, I was just mentioning it to you, but
Okay,
that's okay.
gotcha.
I mean, Iceland is amazing. You went there. How was
Yeah.
that?
Well, it was a I went last year for 10 days and went this year for 10 days. And I've watched, the thing is, I don't know, Trey, we were talking before the stream.
Mhm.
I watched a million videos on this country. It's a place I've been wanting to go for like 10 years. So when we got there the first time last year, I was kind of like, it was weird because I was like, I've never been here, but it feels like I've been here because I've watched a million videos on this place. And I know all the big spots. Like every time we go to a big waterfall, I'm like, yep, that's it. I've seen it before. But outside of that, the country is okay. If you watched Game of Thrones, a lot of that was filmed in Iceland. It feels like you're in a movie the whole time you're there. I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh,
Everywhere you go is like a postcard. I mean, there's waterfalls just all over the place. You'll be driving, there's just a big ass waterfall right over here. And you can pull over to the side. And what me and my wife did is we got a van. We sleep in the van, just drive around the whole country and just sleep in the back. There's a bed. You rent these vans that have a bed in the back. You sleep back there, and it's an adventure, and it's fun. It's fun.
That sounds
So,
awesome. Was it?
Wow.
What time of year did you go?
we went at the end of June both times.
And-
So it's about 55 degrees out there.
Okay.
Like all day, no matter if it's 2 a.m. or 7 a.m, it's 55 degrees out. And during the summer, it doesn't get dark there. It's dark all the time. Or no, excuse me, the other way. It's light all the time. It doesn't get dark. So it's like one night me and my wife were hiking around, and we're kind of looking at waterfalls, going through some trails. And next thing you know, it's like 11 o'clock at night. But I mean, you wouldn't know it because it's bright outside. And it was like, all right, we should probably go to bed now. And then, yeah, it's great. So, but it's also a little bit weird because you'll be like, let's say we got to, I won't say these towns are like 600-700 people. They're really, all the towns there are really small, but like we went there, we're walking around looking at like the just, I don't know, the stuff in the town, and it's bright daylight out, but it's 10 o'clock at night. And it's, I don't know. It just feels weird because everything's closed. And you're like, it feels like you're in the middle of the day, but you're not. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's just, it really messes with your mind, but it's neat though. Yeah. So I don't know, Trey, you would love it. I recommend going, man.
Oh, so my for our listening audience, my partner and I are really wanting to go to Iceland. We were hoping to go this year, but it looks like it's going to probably be a 1 to 2 year thing because we ain't staying in the cheap places. No, we's going fancy. So some questions I have, like, what's the cuisine like from an American going into this place? And did you find your palate like changed from eating the food, or do you I don't know what, like, from a cuisine standpoint, what was it like?
Food I ate. I personally love fish and chips, so I ate that a lot. And of course, this place, the magic of fish and chips, they figured it out. I mean, they figured it out. My wife would get. I mean, you're not going to find. There's fine dining. Food is going to be more expensive there because a lot of stuff has to be shipped over there. So it's gonna be a little bit pricier. Like, let's just say if you wanted a steak, you're probably looking like $35, rather than like, what in America would be like $20. It's stuff like that. But the food, I wouldn't say my palate changed. I mean, it's nothing. They don't like anything. The craziest thing they have over there is they have horse steak. That's like they have they have horse steak. It's a little weird. I never tried it, but outside of that, it's nothing. It's nothing too crazy.
Okay.
I think they have like shark jerky over there, I think. But yeah, the food, I don't know. It's not like out of this world. Like, it's good, but it's not real weird or anything. So, but but Trey, I would recommend, okay, if you're talking about staying places, Airbnbs, they're not that expensive. But I don't know, man. We rented the van where you get the beds in the back, dude. Oh my, you can just go anywhere you want at any time and sleep anywhere you want. Because, like, dude, crime is like non-existent over there. There's like zero crime. So like, you don't have to worry about being in trouble. Like, you're not going to end up in the bad part of town. It's nothing like that over there. So it's, I don't know. There's different routes you can go. Stay Airbnb every night too, if you wanted to. It's not too, I mean, the Airbnbs are reasonably priced. So,
but you could like park you could park somewhere where there's like Northern Lights happening, and then you could just lay in the back of the van and watch that.
You could, but you can't see the Northern Lights during the summer because it's light out all the time. Right. You have to go during the winter.
Right. Okay.
And that's kind of when we were wanting to go, is during the wintertime. So maybe we just like rent a car and we just like drive around there and just like park for the night and then just head back to the hotel.
Yeah, you could do that. But dude, they have these things. Okay, if you go in the winter, they have like these glass Airbnbs where it's like, it's clear. So if you lay in it, like they're out in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like people are going to be spying on you. You drive out there and you sleep, and it's just clear, so you can see the Northern Lights right above you, and it's just a clear house. You can see. So, but I mean, those are kind of expensive. Those are like $700 a night, but they're cool though. And if you're willing to make the investment, I mean, it's So
sorry, my bank account just hurt hearing that.
Yeah, dude. I tell me when we got back in July, I was like, oh, I have to put a couple extra hours in at work. Yeah, so I feel you, man. Yeah.
So did you actually get married out there, or that was like your honeymoon?
No, we got married out there last year. No, not this year, but last year we got married. Okay. We hiked up this mountain it's far and it's tiring. I had to lug all of our stuff up there with all of our camera gear on my back, and my wife carried like all the water and lenses and stuff. We hiked up this mountain to the very top, and there's a big ravine with 3 waterfalls that came out of it, and we went to the very edge and we got married out there.
Yeah, that's
awesome. I mean, it was like, dude, it felt like I was in Lord of the Rings or something. Like, it was wild. And we went there last year. We went on our 1-year anniversary. We hiked up when we went back, we hiked back up there and went up there again. So
I remember when I logged into Facebook one day and just blam, your pictures had been uploaded and you had like announced it, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. The picture's
Ye-
so cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was it's worth the investment. It's kind of expensive, but it's if you can afford it, it's definitely something to do. So
I'm sure
yeah.
your photographer was really expensive too.
Yeah, he was free. It was me and my tripod.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I
yeah. Yeah, we just set that tripod. It was like we actually, it was kind of funny. So when we walked up the mountain to get married, we get up there, we're getting changed up there, and I was like, oh man, I can't remember how to tie this tie. And we're on top of the mountain, so my cell phone don't work. And there's this German guy and this German older couple. I mean, this guy had to be probably upper 70s, early 80s, and their son, who was probably about my age. And I looked at him, I was like, do you guys happen to know a tie? And the German kid goes, my dad owns a suit shop. He sells suits for his whole life. I was like, wow, what luck. So he tied my tie all nice for me. And yeah, they sat there and they watched us get married. Yeah, it's pretty cute, pretty fun.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
These are okay. I love the stories that we get on this podcast because they are some of the most fun, but also some of the most random things. Because you got your tie tied by a German man who used to own a suit shop. And then we had like Zachary James, who got the call to be in like the world premiere of an opera while reaching for a bag of peas. And it's like
really
serious,
just wild. Yeah,
just wild stories. But I love it.
Yeah.
Talk
So
about right place at right time with the
yeah, you're
tie.
telling me I was about to go tieless for our wedding, but worked out. So yeah, so yeah. But anyways, yeah. Iceland, cool, dope place. Recommend it. 2 thumbs up. So
Thanks. Well, I know somebody who's sitting upstairs right now who will likely have lots of questions for you. So we will probably be contacting you on at an early date.
Please
maybe,
do. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
Iceland is where we can find that castle to all do that weekend photo shoot thing.
If you like, see, this is what I keep telling my wife. I'm like, if we go back, we should try to get a group of models because, like, yeah, it's fun taking pictures. And I love my wife. I love taking pictures of her. And I was like, man, if we could get a group with like some models, like people really dressed up. I mean, oh man, I can't. It's hard for me to put in words on how amazing and easy it is to take pictures here. Like anywhere you go, it looks like $1 million. Like it don't matter where you go. So I mean, and yeah, so. And the island's pretty big. It's about, it's like a little bit bigger than Iowa. It's probably maybe about 20% bigger. So it's not super. It's kind of big. Like you could probably drive from one side to another in probably about 7 or 8 hours. So.
Oh wow, that's a lot bigger than I was expecting. I was like thinking it was, I don't know, a little bit smaller than that, but wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you went tip southern, it'd probably take you probably about 7 hours, I would imagine, 7.5. I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. But yeah, but the thing is, once you're driving, I mean, the drive, it's not like you're driving through Nebraska cornfields or anything. You know what I mean? It's like you're driving, just everything looks great. So it's like I didn't care. Like I drove the whole time because my wife doesn't know how to drive stick, so I had to drive the whole time, and it's fine with me. I didn't mind. So
you're like driving through a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
that's cool. That's when I went to Scotland, it was similar. We took a 4-hour train ride up the east coast. I had to think about it. Up the east coast. And I thought, oh, this is going to be boring. But that's great because I'll get to sleep because the flight over was, brutal. And so I thought, oh, I'll take the train and get to sleep then. And no, you do not want to sleep through that because you're on the coolest countryside ever with like little sheep and castles popping up on the landscape here and there. Like you can't.
Was there sheep everywhere in Scotland?
Not everywhere. Say there were sheep, but there were some. There's also cattle and other animal farms and animals and crops and things. But
yeah,
when you're going along, you see like fields and farms and fences and houses, and all of a sudden, bam, castle.
Yeah.
Boom, castle tower. It's like.
Was there a lot of them then?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Was it? It was pretty cool because we've talked about going there, and so like to tell me, was it worth every penny going?
Oh yeah, I cannot wait to go back. I probably feel like about about that area as you do about Iceland.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
They do not, I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry to all of our British and Scottish and Irish friends, they don't realize, because they live with it, they grow up with it, they live with it. So to them, it's like, oh yeah, it's a castle. Oh yeah, it's the monarchy or the patriot, whatever. To them, not all of that is such ancient history, and they've had it around them their whole lives, just like we have cities and other things. So for them, that's just whatever. And I'm over there with my jaw on the ground going,
sure.
This is and I walked into this cemetery, this old cemetery in Leith, which is just north of Edinburgh. You can walk there from Edinburgh Castle. Mm-hmm. And there's, across from the Airbnb, there's like this crazy old graveyard. And the sun was setting, so it was like golden hour, and the light is perfect. And I go walking by this graveyard, and I'm like, all the gravestones are like crooked and old, and they have the old inscriptions, you can barely read them, and it's like the coolest, but like we don't have graveyards like that here.
There's some history there.
It's way older, and like the cool stone everything is just, I could go on for hours about that too, but like
I hear you.
They don't see it like we do. So I go over there, and it's everywhere you look is a feast.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, that's just like in Cornwall. We drove through Cornwall, and there was this little town that we were making fun of the name, because the name of the town is Cornhole.
Yeah.
And so we were
Sorry.
Craft Hole. I'm sorry, no, it was Craft Hole. I apologize. There probably is a cornhole, because hole is a suffix for a lot of the towns in that area. And so we're like, oh, it's Craft Hole, ha ha ha. So we ended up driving through Craft Hole, and to the folks in Craft Hole, you all are so lovely. But we pulled up to this house because this house was completely covered in ivory, and it's this old stone house, and it's called the Craft Hole House. And there's an actual sign on the building, and we're in the streets this wide, so only one car.
Yep.
Not two passing, one. And so I'm driving this car on the well, there's no wrong side of the road when there's only one lane, but you have to be really careful for oncoming traffic.
Sure.
And thankfully we did not get stuck, but that apparently happens all the time. And we park on the side of the road, and we get out, and we're looking at the Craft Hole house, and I'm taking pictures because it's so cool and ivy covered. And these people come out of their house behind us, and the guy, his name is Oscar. Oscar says, "Why are you looking at John's old house?" And we were like, "Look at it, it's so cool. The ivy's growing up in, it's this old stone." And he's like, "This is just John's old house. Come here, I will show you my house." And he made us take a tour of his house.
Yeah.
They're so open and inviting, and like his house was cool too. We got to tour it. So anyway, yeah, I could go on forever with those stories. I will not take up an entire podcast with that.
No, sorry. I hear you.
But yes, it made me not fall asleep because of how amazing the countryside was of the highlands and the rolling green hills and all of the various rock formations and castles that pop up. It is everything you think it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I know the feeling. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great. All right. Well, that's one more reason for me to go then.
So yes, please go. Please go.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll go with you because I want to go again too, and I'll show you everything.
You need an excuse, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to get a tattoo while you're overseas, we actually know a tattoo artist over in Scotland.
Oh, man. We were going to get a tattoo in Iceland, but we cannot find... Like, I guess if I'm going to spend money overseas on a tattoo, I really want the person to be real good. We couldn't find anyone that we were happy with, unfortunately. It's kind of a bummer. But somebody good in Scotland, though?
Yeah.
We actually...
Sorry,
he designed a children's book, drew all the artwork for it, and then we saw a couple of his sketches from like tattoos and things. Like, really, really, really good person. So highly recommend him.
If I go, I'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah.
Scott Mitchell, right near Edinburgh too.
Scott Mitchell.
Yeah.
Diego
the Doodling Dinosaur. That's his book.
Yeah, and I actually have it on my shelf over here.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun. One thing that I kind of want to know, kind of bringing it back to the photography thing, like when you are traveling to all of these incredible places, is there any location that you've been to that's been super inspirational, or I guess more generally, where do you find your inspiration?
Movies. obviously, I mean, I would say, well, I wouldn't say kind of obviously, because a lot of my big projects have been out of movies. Let's see. Let me try to think. Places I've been that inspired me. I would say we went to the Smoky Mountains a few years ago, and we hiked up a mountain. That was pretty cool. But I would say I get most of my inspiration from movies though, because like, even since I was like a little kid, when I see a movie, I kind of want to see like Wizard of Oz, for example. When I was little, I was like 8 or 9 when I saw that movie for the first time. I'm watching it, and I was like, I want to know more. I want to know more. What's out in the world? What's down that road? What's down that road? I want to see what's down there. Mm-hmm. And that was the first. I vividly remember that was the very first movie where I thought that, where I was like, I want to see more of Oz, not just where Dorothy's going. And that's kind of like, well, I was like, and I know I'll never be a cinematographer. I'll never work on a movie. So what's the next step I can take? And that's how I got the inspiration of doing these movie sets. It's like, if I can't be there to make the movie, maybe I can make the movie inside my house. And I can't draw, I can't paint. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So this was kind of my next step, was to do the miniatures and work on that, because I don't know how to explain this. I never had the patience to learn how to paint or draw. Like I start doing it, I'm just kind of like, oh, I suck. I don't even want to do this anymore. But for some reason, miniatures, I have the patience to learn how to do it. I enjoy the whole process. And it's kind of like, when I was in high school trying to play guitar, like I played, but I just didn't have the patience to practice every day. But I play drums, but and I suck, but I love playing, and I have the patience to learn. So it's just kind of, I'm sure like with you guys, there's some things you have patience for and some things you don't, just for whatever reason. And the miniatures and the photography just happen to be mine. And the movies, I've always watched, I've always loved. I'm a big cinema guy. So it's just kind of my way of expressing maybe some of the ideas and, artistic views I have. This is the one way I figured out how to do. So.
In Emily, kind of along that same line of, you do so many like artistic things. Is there something artistically to you that you just don't have the patience for? And then there's something that kind of like on top of that you wouldn't expect yourself to have that much patience for, but you do have patience for it? That was a word soup of a question. Please, what clarity can I provide?
No, I got it. It's like 2 questions in one.
Yes.
What do I not have the patience for? Well, I was gonna say sewing. I want you to know I hate sewing, but hate is strong. I don't love sewing. It is a means to an end, because I think I'm good at designing and I think I'm good at execution. Mm-hmm. But and the only way to make the vision of what I want happen for photography, for anything, to tell the stories I want to tell, the only way to make it happen is to sew it myself, because you can't just pop down to Walmart and get like the amazing 10-yard long ball gown that flows in the wind that you want, So so yeah, I don't love sitting in front of it's mind numbing. I think I don't love the sewing, which is why I don't really take commissions unless I'm really invested, or it would have to be an amazing thing that I'm being commissioned for. But as far as other art forms, I don't know if I have the patience to paint or to be a sketch artist. I would find it hard to finish a project like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about you, Trey? Or I'm sorry, Emily. Finish. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I probably could, but
yeah, right.
For me, I do like drawing, but I really just don't have the patience for like painting or something like that. For me, I actually do enjoy sewing, not to the extent of like I want to be doing it for my passion and get into alterations and do all that, because I don't have time for people's. I was about to use a very colorful word, but I just don't have time for people's nonsense.
Yeah, there you go.
And particulars. So I do enjoy sewing, but it's cathartic for me because I talk in metaphors and I talk in such a lengthy manner that I'm telling you the entirety of the project and what the picture that's inside of my head. So for me, sewing is like the way of being able to take what's in my brain, pluck it out, and
Yep.
be able to deliver it and say, this is what was inside of my brain and what I was trying to explain.
Sure. Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I could change my attitude a little. One other reason is you can also put pockets in everything and anything you want.
God bless pockets. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Pockets that hold whatever you want.
So as far as like patience, I think I have patience for a lot of things, but yeah, painting is not one of them.
It's not it. Yeah. I hear you there. Yeah. Paint. Yeah. Yeah. Like with my projects, the painting is the one thing that I kind of struggle with because it's like there's like a lot of dudes that paint like the Warhammer figurines, like they have the whole sets. That's all they do is sit there and just paint them and paint them, paint them. I can't do that. But I mean, but at the same time, some of those guys who do, 100 figurines in a week or whatever it is, man, some of their stuff looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So I do wish I had the patience, but I don't know. I just can't do it. It's the same thing with like writing. My writing. I've worked on like film projects with people like, hey, you need to rewrite this. And I'm just like, no, okay, get somebody else to do that aspect of it. I can't do it. But yeah, so
That is the other thing of like writing. It's so difficult just to like sit down and know what you want to write.
yeah,
And then because you're critiquing yourself at the same time that you're writing it, and you're like, no, that's garbage. No.
yeah, exactly. Because like I was like, when I was doing my videography stuff, I was a big part of like there's like like the local film community around here. A lot of dudes that are working on shorts, or there's they're just trying to people that like making movies. And I'd help them a lot because I had like all my camera stuff for my wedding stuff, so I'd help them make shorts. And the writing aspect was something I was never. I just like you said, Trey. Like I'm writing, I'm like, this sounds dumb. Like writing believable dialogue is way harder than people think. Like it's not easy. Not easy. But anyways,
No,
we're not here for that. We're here for pictures. Yeah.
So are you working on anything right now?
I was starting something. I was actually starting. No is the answer, but I was beginning to do this building for this company, and they ended up actually, we're actually going to go with CGI, and I was like, all right, well, whatever. But I was starting to work on something like about a couple weeks. Actually, they commissioned me the same day you got a hold of me to do this podcast.
Oh yeah,
it was like the same day. It was like a couple hours prior to that, and we started getting the ball rolling on that. But for whatever reason, they decided to go with CGI, which is fine. But no. I finished, a while ago. I finished that project for. I made it was an escape room out in Arizona. I made him a bunch of miniature houses and stuff, and sent them all to that guy.
Cool.
That took me a few months. That was very difficult. But as far as pictures, no, my Game of Thrones ones was the last one I was doing, and right now I'm just. Actually, the last 6 months I've really been. It's not art related. I've been working on my drums. I've been trying to take that a lot more seriously lately, just playing music. So
yeah, well, music is art.
Yeah, just unfortunately, there's only so much time. You have kids. Like I have to kind of pick one hobby or passion to go with it. And yeah.
Do you have any dream projects for the future that you want to do that you just haven't?
Yes, I want. Yeah. There actually is. I want to do more with the Wizard of Oz. I want to nail every aspect of that movie. Now there's a lot of challenges that come with that. One is like, how do I explain this? Like the Wicked Witch. Do I want to do how it was from the movie from the 1930s, make her green with the big nose, all that stuff, or do I want to do an interpretation to make it different? Because she's not described that way in the book at all. I've read the book like 3 or 4 times. She's actually barely in the book. She's only in one chapter really. But or do I want to make it look different? Do I want to make? I want to do more of I want to actually do the Tin Man and have a guy that is like, dude, if you do the Tin Man, I want to be him. But do I do it the same way they do it in the movie, or do I try to design him a different way. And these are kind of like these are the challenges I'm coming across, really.
That's fascinating. I love the idea of not doing it what a literal witch is in our brains. Maybe like you said, the nose and all of that. Like doing it the way it's either in the book or the way that you're trying to make it your own. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking like when I'm thinking of the witch is like have her, because like I said in the book she's only in the chapter. The only chapter she's in is the one that where Dorothy kills her, I think, or she might be in the chapter before when she captures her. I don't fully remember, but I was like saying like something like, I want to incorporate her like she's like entwined with the shadows in the floor, and she comes out and just but I don't want her face necessarily to be that green look, and I'm just trying to think of all the stuff I need to do to make it happen. And whew, it's like you can get the idea in your head. It's all about execution, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Maleficent, how she in the animated thing she would kind of turn more into like a shadowy sort of figure, but they played so much with the shadow of her face and the curvature of her face that it really brought out the more menacing side.
And I was kind of thinking of something along those lines, and just have her. But then I was also thinking like, do I do the whole castle? Do I build just a room and have her in there? Then like the Tin Man, he's like trying to build like I don't necessarily want it to look like the movie, but like every time I'm trying to think of an idea, it always comes back to the way the movie looks. I'm like, well, how do I change this to not make it look cheesy? It's tough. It's tough trying to think of all this stuff. But that is the main project I want to do, is an entire Wizard of Oz deal. But
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but it's just make just trying to make it all happen with just myself it's
right.
it's tough. It's tough, but
well, if you need costuming help,
give you a ring. Yeah. All right. It may be a year, it may be 4 years, but I would say within. See, I'm about to turn 42, but a lot of these projects are like I'm not thinking I'm going to have them done in 6 months. The stuff I want to do, like over, especially this Wizard of Oz, that may take me. I've been doing this for. I think my original Wizard of Oz one came out a little over 4 years ago.
Wow.
So it's probably like in the next year to 5 years I would like to have this done, but it's a lot of miniature building though. So
that, and you're still conceptualizing
the idea, right? Exactly. So
that takes time.
If you would like some inspirations, and I'm not trying to promote like bootleg recordings of anything, but I have seen there are two different non-replica productions of Wicked that I'm kind of thinking of, which is like Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wicked Witch's in quotation marks perspective. There is a German production where in like the second act, whenever Dorothy comes down from the tornado, rather than being like that standard house in the tornado, she actually steps out of a busted television into color. So it's like a black and white television that's on stage, but she steps out in full color. And then they've got like some wild interpretations of costumes. And then there's a Brazilian production that actually got put up probably a couple months ago, and they've started releasing like little bits of their footage. There's a scene of where the Tin Man is becoming the Tin Man. It is horrifying to watch, but it is also still so cool to see the physical effects that they do with it, as well as kind of what they do with Glinda and with Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch of the West. So again, don't go look up. Do not go look up. What do they call them on YouTube? Oh God, I can't think of it. Don't go look up slime tutorials of either of these productions on YouTube. No, don't do it at all.
No good.
But they are really good for looking at something and getting kind of a different perspective.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, I put like a couple ideas in mid journey and got a couple of ideas from there too. But that's not like a means to an end. But you can put stuff in there to get ideas though, which is kind of why I use it. But how the Tin, which is funny you say that about the Tin Man being horrific in the book. Man, it is wild how he becomes the Tin Man in the book. Have you read it? before?
I haven't actually.
Oh man, dude. So when he was a human, he fell in love with the Munchkin, but the Munchkin's parents didn't like it, so they went to the Wicked Witch, and the Wicked Witch put a spell on him where it made him chop all of his limbs off, then chopped off his head, took out his heart, and this guy built him back up as a Tin Man, and that's how he became the Tin Man, and that's why he doesn't have a heart, because he chopped it out with an axe. So
So in the Wicked book, it's he fell in love with Galinda, but he could never really like get with Galinda,
uh-huh,
so he tried to get with started falling in love with the Wicked Witch of the East, or whoever became the Wicked Witch of the East.
uh-huh.
Um, Found out that he didn't really love her,
Mhm.
so she stole her sister's like fancy grimoire book, the book that like she reads all the magic spells out of,
Yep.
and didn't know what she was saying, but just kind of like cursed him that way.
Uh-huh.
So, but because it was the Wicked Witch of the West's book, everybody thought that she did it, not her sister.
Oh, it
Wow.
was like a little switcheroo type of deal, or yeah, yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the Brazilian.
Oh, this was
That's
the
Wicked.
book. It's the book that it's the musical is based off of.
Oh,
The
really?
Wicked musical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have I never
Um,
heard of this?
it's came out like the first book came out in the early 90s. It's not canon to the L. Frank Baum's version of Oz or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's just the author of these books takes these series, and he's done this with a couple of fairy tales, but takes them, spins them in a different direction. But very, very excellent series. Highly
Pretty
recommend
cool.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, I love the story. It's great, and the book's great. Very it's yeah, it's cool. So I like it. So I'll definitely check that out. So
for sure.
It's Gregory Maguire's the author of Wicked.
Gregory Maguire,
The
Mhm.
novel Wicked, yeah.
save that. Don't forget.
And just I'm gonna put it out there. Gregory, we've been trying to get you on the podcast, so
We try. We would love to have you on the podcast. No, this isn't my plea to get you on. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, right.
Um,
So
oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm listening.
Don't remember where I was going, so you go.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've, with with my projects and stuff, it's I don't know. I was gonna go with you know, I recently I haven't had. I say I haven't been inspired. That might not be the right word. It's just that I'm kind of coming to a point with my work where I don't the stuff I want to do, I don't know how to do it. That's kind of like the biggest problem I've had in like the last year is like I said, like the stuff with like the Wizard of Oz. I just don't know how to execute it. And I've been trying to think about it a lot lately. I would like to do more Lord of the Rings. I'd like to do more stuff like when they're in Mirkwood, with
yeah.
like the elves and stuff. I think that would be really neat. But making gigantic trees and building castles in these trees and doing stuff like that, it's gonna be pretty tough, and I don't know exactly how to execute that. So it's been more of a I'm not gonna say dry spell. It's just been a lot of thinking of how to
Yeah.
do this stuff. But like the other stuff, like the Verona, my Romeo and Juliet stuff, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I knew how to do. I was like, well, I got to build a ton of buildings, so I just started building buildings, and I got to build the street, and I know what I need in these buildings, and it was just kind of and like the and a boyfriend and girlfriend got a hold of me. They were like they're models, and they were like, hey, can we do this? And I was like, yeah, you can be Romeo and Juliet, and it just kind of all worked out. So yeah,
That turned out so cool. I mean,
yeah, I liked it too.
I I like so many of your images, but that one really spoke to me. I'm a big Shakespeare fan, so that was awesome. And then you just did such an amazing job in that little amazing town, and your
Yeah,
behind
like
the scenes photos are cool too.
yeah, it kind of shows you kind of a glimpse of kind of how I do it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
so
would.
cool.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie of all time, and I would love to do more, but it's just, I mean, the costumes are like impossible. To get like a like let's say a Legolas type of costume. I mean, oh man, it just would be. it'd be very expensive, very hard. Then you got to find a model that would look right in it. Then you have to. There's just a lot of hurdles to do that stuff. And I don't. And like Frodo and Sam are easy because you just stick the shirt and the pants and the overall straps were. It wasn't very
pretty simple.
Pretty easy in bottom wigs, and it was pretty easy, so it wasn't too bad. But you guys are costumers, so when my time comes,
I'm look at the comments right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting stared at. That, and we know some people, so we'll see if we can't do it ourselves, we can hook you up at least.
Project.
I don't think it's as impossible as maybe it feels. But yeah, finding the right model might be harder in my mind, finding the right model would be harder than finding the right costume.
Yeah, because not only do you have to find the right model that looks the part, they have to be able to perform in front of a camera the appropriate way.
Yeah.
Because like some people, I get people that look right, but we get in front of the camera, they're just a little stiff. They don't really get it, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But this is one of 18,000 steps you have to.
Right.
Hopefully it works, but yeah. So.
Well, I know some people that have played elves, so we'll talk. We'll talk if you'd like.
What part of the country are you guys in?
Well, right now I'm in Minnesota, but I was.
Oh, you are in Minnesota.
Yeah, I was in North Carolina. That's where Trey is, or South Carolina, whatever. Right on the border.
I'm going to Minnesota. 3 weeks. I'm going to Canterbury, the dog track. They do a poker tournament. I play every October. I go up there and play it. It's pretty fun. But yeah, it was just south of the Twin Cities, right? South side of Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about 2 hours north of there.
Oh, okay. So you're a little bit further away. But we went to I went to South. So Trey, you live in South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
I drove out to Charleston 2 years ago.
Okay.
Do you live over by there?
That is about, I'm going to say about 4.5 hours away from me.
Oh, it's a little distance then.
Yeah, he lives on the top end of the state, and Charleston is down to the east.
You know what I loved about Charleston? Well, there's a bunch of things, but I loved how that town, like you're not allowed to change like houses. Like there's like code ordinances where they can't change anything with the houses there. So everything's like exactly the same. It's been for like 250 years or something. So like you're walking in history, but man, those people, they take their barbecue so seriously there. Okay, so I'm from Iowa, and like the pigs here are a huge thing. Like we're like the number one producer of pigs, but man, our barbecue sucks here. But Charleston, man, they were on a different universe compared to us. Oh my God, it was so good. And I don't know, are you guys barbecue fans or not really?
Yeah,
very much so.
I mean,
you are.
I lived in the Carolinas for 15 years, so you kind of can't avoid it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
No.
The way I don't know what magic they figured out there, but the way they smoked their meat, it was just like, why can't we figure this out in Iowa? Like, I just don't get it. But so anyways, but it was good.
Hey, just do what they do in Nebraska. Just smoke it with corn.
Do they?
No, I'm just making a joke.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe they do.
The joke is that they have like over 100 ways to use corn, and I'm sure at some point someone has smoked something with corn.
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah.
The one thing I will say, and this is a controversial comment, and please don't come for me in the comments. For me, beef barbecue is superior to pork.
Beef barbecue is superior to pork.
Yes.
Can we talk about why?
Yes, because my palate started in Texas and will always somehow live in Texas. So
it's Texas. Okay.
What's a beef? What's a beef? What's a beef barbecue? It would be a what? Brisket. Brisket beef or brisket pork?
Brisket's beef.
Okay.
So brisket's typically like the biggest thing that would be smoked. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had many different kinds of barbecue, including pork and like chicken and a whole bunch of things. Beef just blows it out of the water for me.
Yeah.
And now I'm salivating again, even though I've already eaten dinner.
Take a trip down to Charleston, man. I'm telling you, there's this place called Melvin's, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like we went to Airbnb. The guy was all like, yeah, down the street, there's this place called Melvin's. It's a barbecue joint. And he's like, it's the best place we have in Charleston. He's like, it's just like 4 blocks down the street. So me and my wife, I was like, all right, we cannot eat this day one, because if this is good day one, this is all we're gonna eat. So I was like, let's wait until the day we leave, and we'll eat there. So we waited that Saturday, whenever it was when we left. We drove there, we got it, and oh my God, man, I'm telling you guys, it was unbelievable how good this stuff was. And I was just like, this like, I've never tasted anything this amazing. And so I'm glad. I am glad we waited until, because I would have ate there every day. We were there for 4 days. But yeah. So if you're ever in Charleston, Trey, Melvin's barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seth, please remember that. Melvin's.
Well,
Yeah.
you're not even that far away. You could like go down there for a weekend.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Have you been there before, Trey? I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like once or twice. We went down there for like a choir competition, and then went down there with some girlfriends of mine, and had a really nice time.
Yeah. Good.
There's the battery's beautiful. Love it. Nick, one last question for you before we go here. I want to make sure that our listening audience is able to connect with you, because you have so many incredible stories to tell, not just with your miniature photography, but with just life in general, from travel and everything in between. How are our listening audience able to interact with you and keep up with you?
My main where I post mostly my work is my Instagram, which is Flying the Donut. Weird name, doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, it's Flying the Donut. And at Facebook, it's on my page, Nicholas Busch Photography. Or I have a YouTube, which is Nick Busch Photography. And I do a lot. I post a lot of my videos. I've worked on my projects, have videos up there. Yeah, that's it. And I post my work. Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Well, I am definitely already following you on Instagram. I'll have to go find you on Facebook. But I just have to say this has been an awesome time. You are so down to earth, and just so easy to talk to. So if anyone is interested in commissioning from Nick, please do so. Really amazing person.
Yeah, don't go with CGI.
No,
Nah,
absolutely.
unless if I don't want to do it, then you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Only if Nick turns you down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Set up an AI filter for all of his commissions. It must be in triplicate, and it must contain the words, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Yeah, there you go.
True.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, but one last thing, Trey. If you're if you want to see Iceland from our perspective, I have it's like 3.5, 4 minutes on my YouTube channel, Nicholas Busch. My video from last year is my Iceland video is right there. You can watch it. It's like I put a bunch of editing to it, so it's like kind of like a fun 3.5 minutes of our whole trip. Okay. So you can watch it and see, so you can see for your own eyes what kind of the stuff that we saw. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's awesome.
I have some late night viewing to watch.
Yeah. It's all on there. But I appreciate you guys having me. This was a lot of fun. It was great to meet you, Trey, Emily. We've been connected for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun, and thank you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for being on.
Of course.
As we close this episode out, this episode, along with probably every episode forever and ever, will be in memory of Joe Capone, our moderator, fellow comedian, passionate encourager, and greatly missed friend. Find us pretty much wherever you tune into podcasts. For updates, announcements, and more, please follow us on social media under Modern Romantic. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you have an out of Oz experience. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.